And turning to Northwest news, an attempted bank robbery drew a large police response in Pasco yesterday when officers thought the robber was still in the building and a backpack he was carrying had explosives. A man who indicated he had a gun tried to hold up the Bank of the West at about 10 a.m. Captain Jim Raymond said a bank employee set off an alarm, bringing police who interrupted the robbery. All the bank employees and customers were safely evacuated and no money was stolen. A bomb squad robot checked the man's backpack and found there was nothing suspicious inside. The suspect did get away. He's about 6 feet tall, 250 pounds, and may have been wearing a disguise, possibly a fake beard. Thousands took part in a march on May Day for immigration reform, but another group saw it as an opportunity to create a disturbance. Here with the story is Spencer Graham.
Several dozen protesters, many using bandanas to cover their faces, began clashing with the police in downtown Seattle hours after a peaceful march about immigration reform ended. Protesters threw several objects at police officers and news crews. As they moved through the streets, they flung street barriers and trash cans on the streets and banged on vehicles with people inside. Officers responded by using flashbang grenades and pepper spray. Officers also used their bikes as shields in an attempt to control the crowd and protect businesses from being vandalized. A few people were seen taken into custody. Many of the protesters are self-described anarchists. A local anarchist website said protesters would attempt to disrupt the day. Thousands of people marched about 2.5 miles after a May Day rally supporting immigrant rights and labor. The violence is reminiscent of last year's May Day when anarchists broke windows of storefronts and vehicles and used smoke bombs. Protesters also targeted a federal building, throwing a smoke bomb inside. For iFIBER 1 News, this is Spencer Graham reporting.
City prosecutors starting filing charges against people arrested during the protest. The city attorney's office said 6 people who spent the night in the King County Jail face misdemeanor charges that include obstructing officers, resisting arrest, property damage, and failure to disperse. In all, 17 people were arrested after the May Day march turned violent. Some protesters could face more serious charges in King County Superior Court. Tacoma officials are trying to decide how to save a 110-year-old totem pole that's rotting and in danger of falling. Historic Preservation Officer Reuben McKnight is researching the pole's origins to determine which tribes might be involved in a permanent solution. The 83-foot pole in Fireman's Park has been braced to keep it from falling down. The News Tribune reports it was commissioned in 1903 by Civic Boosters to be taller than the totem pole erected in Seattle. A North Idaho yellow lab named Dakota is being credited with the rescue of a 7-pound Yorkshire Terrier named Corey from a hawk. Steve Grove says Dakota barked and bolted from his home south of Post Falls and out of sight into the woods on Tuesday. He said that moments later, a hawk flew off, and a short time after that, Dakota and Corey returned home. He says 8-year-old Corey had cuts on both sides of his back, and that he and Corey's veterinarian agreed Corey's wounds came from talons. Gross says even if the hawk couldn't fly away with Corey, the bird likely would have eaten him on the ground. He says Corey now prefers to stay inside and close to home. That's going to do it for us here at iFIBER 1 News. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.